I walk into my apartment and find my brother, Jake, lounging on the couch with a smug grin, flipping through papers. My girlfriend, Sara, paces behind him, arms crossed and avoiding my gaze. The air is thick with tension. What the hell's going on? I demand, dropping my keys on the counter. Jake looks up, calm as ever, and says, "We're selling the cabin, Matt. And you're out." Out? Out? The cabin's been in our family for decades. Grandpa's pride, Dad's retreat, my damn sanctuary. I feel my chest tighten. "You can't do that," I snap. "It's half mine." Sara finally meets my gaze, her voice shaky but firm. "It's not, actually. Jake's got the deed. And I'm with him on this." My head spins. My brother and my girlfriend, teaming up to screw me over. Betrayal doesn't even cover it. This is a gut punch, a knife twist, all in one. I stumble back, hands clenched. "You're kidding me, right?" Jake just shrugs, like it's no big deal. "It's business, Matt. You wouldn't get it." Sara's biting her lip, but she doesn't say a word to defend me. I'm standing there, in the home we built together, and it's like I'm invisible. That's when I know, this isn't just about the cabin. This is war. Let me back up a bit, because you need the full picture to feel how deep this cuts. I grew up in a small town, the kind where everyone knows your business before you do. Two-story house, peeling paint, Mom always humming in the kitchen while Dad tinkered in the garage. Jake was the golden boy, tall, charming, the one who could talk his way out of anything. Me? I was the quiet one, the kid who'd rather fish at the cabin than play football. That cabin was my escape, this rickety old place by the lake, all creaky floors and pine smell. Grandpa left it to us when he passed, split right down the middle, or so I thought. Sara came into my life 5 years ago. Met her at a diner where she worked, all bright smiles and quick wit. She'd grown up rough, foster homes, scraped knees, a mom who OD'd when she was 12. I fell hard. We moved in together, built something real. Or I thought we did. Jake, though, he'd always been around, crashing on our couch when he was between jobs, borrowing cash he never paid back. I didn't mind. He's family. You don't turn family away. But now? Now I'm staring at them, these two people I'd have died for, and they're carving me out of my own life. I grabbed the papers from Jake's hands, legal stuff, signatures, a deed I've never seen. My name's nowhere on it. "How'd you pull this off?" I mutter, voice low. Jake leans back, smirking. "Dad changed it before he died. Said I'd take better care of it." Bullshit. Dad loved that cabin as much as I did. He'd never cut me out. Would he? Sara steps forward, finally. "Matt, it's not personal. We need the money." Her eyes flicker with guilt. But it's too late. I'm done listening. I storm out, slamming the door so hard the frame rattles. They can have the apartment. They can have their little conspiracy. But that cabin? That's mine. And I'm not letting it go without a fight. I'm driving to Mom's place, knuckles white on the steering wheel, replaying that scene over and over. Jake smirk. Sara's twitchy silence. The cabin deed in his grubby hands. It's a tower haul back to my hometown, and every mile feels like I'm peeling back layers of crap I didn't want to face. I need answers. Mom's the only one left who might know what Dad was thinking before he kicked it 3 years ago. Growing up, Jake and I were tight, believe it or not. Summers at the cabin, we'd swim until our fingers pruned, then sit on the dock with peanut butter sandwiches, daring each other to jump in again. Dad would be there, fixing the leaky roof or grilling burgers, always saying, "This place is for you boys. Keep it alive." Mom stayed home most times. She's a homebody, likes her garden and her soaps. But Dad? That cabin was his soul. When he got sick, lung cancer, fast and ugly, he made us promise to hold on to it. I took that promise to heart. Jake, apparently, took it as a suggestion. I pull into Mom's driveway, the little brick house looking smaller than I remember. She's out front, pruning roses, her gray hair tucked under a floppy hat. "Matt," she calls, squinting as I climb out of the truck. "What's wrong? You look like hell." I don't sugarcoat it. "Jake's selling the cabin. Says Dad gave it to him." Sara's in on it too. Her clippers freeze mid-snip. She stares at me, then mutters, "Come inside." The kitchen smells like cinnamon, always does, thanks to her obsession with baking. She pours me coffee, hand shaky, and sits across from me. "Dad didn't give it to Jake," she says, voice firm. "He left it to both of you." I saw the will myself. My gut twists. "Then why's my name off the deed?" She hesitates, sips her coffee, then sighs. "Jake came around a lot near the end. Brought papers for your dad to sign, said it was insurance stuff." I didn't think. Her voice cracks. "I should have checked." I lean back, head spinning. Jake pulled a fast one on a dying man. My own brother. "And Sara?" I ask, dreading the answer. Mom's eyes soften. She's been calling Jake a lot lately. I thought it was odd, but she stops, like she's connecting dots she wishes she hadn't. I slam my mug down, coffee sloshing. "They've been planning this." "How long, Mom?" She shakes her head. "I don't know, honey, but you need to fight it." "Fight it?" "Right. I've got no deed, no proof, just a gut feeling and a promise from a dead man. But Mom's right. I can't let this slide. Jake's always been the slick one, talking circles around me, getting what he wants. Not this time." I kiss her cheek, grab my keys, and head out. Next stop, someone who can dig into this mess legally. I'm not losing that cabin, Or my dignity? To a con artist and a traitor, I'm back in my truck, the engine rumbling like it's as pissed as I am. Mom's words are looping in my head. Jake sneaking around. Papers signed in Dad's final days. It's slimy, even for him. I need a lawyer, someone who doesn't flinch at family drama. My buddy Pete from high school knows a guy. Tom Hargrove, small-time attorney but scrappy as hell. I call Pete on the way, gravel crunching under my tires. Yeah, Tom's your man, he says. He's in town. I'll text you his office. Tom's place is a cramped little storefront, wedged between a barber and a vape shop. He's older than I expected, pushing 60, gray stubble, glasses perched on his nose. So, he says, leaning back in a creaky chair, your brother screwed you out of a cabin? I dump it all on him. The deed, Jake's smug face, Sarah's betrayal, Mom's suspicion about the will. He listens, scribbling notes, then squints at me. You got any proof your dad meant it for both of you? I pull out my phone, scroll through old photos. There's one from 5 years back, Dad, Jake, and me on the cabin porch, arms around each other, grinning like idiots. He always said it was ours, I tell him. And Mom saw the will. Tom nods. Good start. We'll need more, witnesses, documents. If Jake forged anything, we can nail him. But it's gonna get ugly. Ugly's fine. I'm already there. He takes my case, no hesitation, says he'll dig into property records and Dad's estate. Give me a few days, he says. And don't talk to Jake or your girl, ex-girl, until I say so. I agree, but it's killing me. I want to storm back to that apartment and demand answers. Instead, I crash at Pete's place. His couch smells like beer and dog hair, but it beats facing them. Next morning, I'm up early, wired on cheap coffee. Tom calls. Found something, he says, voice low. The deed transfer's dated a week before your dad died. Filed by some notary in the city. Problem is, your dad was bedridden then, couldn't have gone anywhere. My pulse spikes. So Jake faked it. Tom grunts. Maybe. Or paid someone. I'm pulling hospital records to prove he couldn't sign squat. Sit tight. Sit tight. I'm pacing Pete's living room, fists balled up. If Jake forged Dad's signature, that's not just betrayal, that's a crime. And Sara, what's her angle? Money? Loyalty to Jake? I think back to the last few months, her late nights, running errands. Jake dropping by more than usual. Were they laughing at me behind my back? Planning this while I was grilling burgers for us all? The thought makes me want to punch something. Tom's call gives me hope, though. If we can prove fraud, that cabin's mine. Legally, morally, whatever. But I know Jake. He's slippery. He'll have a story, a cover, maybe even Sara as his alibi. I need to be smarter, colder. This isn't just about the cabin anymore. It's about taking back what's mine from the people who thought I'd roll over. 3 days later, I'm itching to do something. Anything. But Tom's still digging, so I'm stuck waiting. Pete's at work, and I'm alone in his place, staring at the ceiling, when my phone buzzes. It's Sara. My thumb hovers over ignore, but curiosity wins. Matt, she says when I pick up, her voice all soft and wobbly. Can we talk? Just us. I should say no. Tom'd kill me, but I need to hear her excuse. Fine, I grunt. Where? We meet at a diner off the highway, neutral ground. She's already there, sitting in a corner booth, coffee cup clutched like a lifeline. She looks rough, dark circles under her eyes, hair messy. Good. I slide in across from her, arms crossed. Talk, I say. She swallows hard. I didn't mean for this, Matt. Jake. He convinced me it was the only way. I scoff. The only way to what? Stab me in the back. Her eyes dart away. To get out from under, everything. The bills, the stress. He said the cabin's worth a fortune now. Developers want it. We could split the cash, start over. Start over. I lean forward, voice low. You think I'd sell Grandpa's place for some quick bucks? And with you after this? She flinches. It wasn't like that at first. Jake kept pushing, saying you'd never agree, that you're too stubborn. If he made it sound like you'd be fine without it. I laugh, bitter. So you two cooked this up while I was what? Working my ass off to keep us afloat? She doesn't answer, just stares at her coffee. I press harder. The deed, Sara. Jake says Dad gave it to him. You know that's bullshit, right? Her head snaps up, eyes wide. I don't know. He showed me papers. Said it was legal. Legal, my ass. I'm about to call her out when she adds, he's got plans, Matt. Big ones. Said if I stuck with him, we'd be set. I didn't think he'd cut you out completely. There it is. Greed. She picked Jake's promises over me. I stand, tossing a couple bucks on the table. You're both delusional if you think I'm letting this go. She grabs my wrist. Matt, please. Don't make it worse. Jake's, I yank free. Jake's a liar. And you're a fool for buying it. We're done. I walk out, heart pounding, her teary, Matt, wait. Fading behind me. Screw her guilt trip. She's in too deep with him now. Back at Pete's, I call Tom, fuming. Sara just tried to play me, I tell him. Says Jake's got some developer deal lined up. Tom's quiet for a sec, then says, that fits. Found a real estate guy sniffing around the property records. Jake's been busy. But we've got traction. Hospital logs show your dad was on morphine, incoherent, the day that deed was signed. No way you did it. My jaw tightens. I hang up, adrenaline buzzing. Jake's building his castle on quicksand, and Sarah's too blind to see it. They think they've won, but I've got proof piling up. This isn't over, not by a long shot. I just need to hold it together a little longer. I'm starting to feel like a detective in one of those gritty TV shows. Except there's no dramatic music, just me, pacing Pete's living room, waiting for Tom to drop the next bomb. He calls late that night, voice rough like he's been chain smoking. Got a break, he says. Notary's name is Carla Vance. Works out of a strip mall in the city. I tracked her down. She's cagey, but I leaned on her. Says Jake paid her $5,000 to stamp that deed, no questions asked. Your dad wasn't even there. I stopped pacing, gripping the phone. She'll testify? Tom grunts. Not yet. She's scared. Jake's got her spooked, hinted he's connected to some rough types. But I recorded her admitting it. That's gold if we can get her in court. My mind's racing. $5,000 to fake a signature? Jake's not just a snake. He's a criminal. What about the hospital stuff? I ask. File, Tom says. Morphine logs, nurse statements. Your dad couldn't hold a pen, let alone sign. We're building a wall he can't climb. I crash on the couch, staring at the ceiling. It's sinking in. Jake didn't just betray me. He exploited Dad's last days. The cabin's not some prize to him. It's a paycheck. And Sara? She's either clueless or complicit. I can't decide which is worse. I dig through my phone again, find an old voicemail from Dad, months before he got bad. Matt, keep that cabin safe, he rasps. Jake's got big ideas, but you've got heart. I hit replay, his voice grounding me. Heart's what's keeping me in this fight. Next day, I meet Tom at his office. He's got a stack of papers, hospital records, the deed, Carla's shaky confession on a USB drive. We file for fraud, he says, tapping the pile. Nullify the transfer, get the cabin back in your name. Could press charges too, if you want. Charges. Jake in cuffs. Part of me loves that image, golden boy finally paying. But he's still my brother. Let's focus on the cabin first, I say. Tom nods. Smart. We'll hit him where it hurts, his wallet. He files the motion that afternoon. I'm at Pete's when Jake calls, voice tight. What the hell, Matt? You're suing me. I keep it cool. You forged Dad's signature. Stole what's mine. Yeah, I'm suing. He laughs, sharp and fake. You've got nothing. Sarah's with me. She'll say whatever I need. Back off, or I'll bury you. I clench my fist. Try it. He hangs up, and I know he's rattled. Good. Tom texts later, court date set. 2 weeks. Stay sharp. 2 weeks to prove Jake's a fraud, Sarah's a liar, and I'm not the pushover they think. I head to the fridge, grab one of Pete's beers, and crack it open. This isn't just about the cabin anymore. It's about tearing down their whole damn game. 2 weeks feels like forever when you're sleeping on a lumpy couch, replaying every lie Jake and Sara ever fed me. Pete's cool about it. Lets me stay, keeps the fridge stocked, but I can tell he's worried. You sure about this, man? He asks one night, tossing me a beer. Jake's got cash, connections. What if he wiggles out? I take a swig, shrug. Then I'll still know I fought. That's more than he can say. Pete nods, but his eyes say he's not convinced. Tom's working overtime, chasing loose ends. He gets a nurse from Dad's hospital to sign a statement, confirms Dad was out of it, doped up, no way he signed anything. Carla, the notary, is still dodgy, but Tom's got her on tape, and he's pushing for a subpoena. She'll crack if we get her on the stand, he tells me over the phone. Jake's leaning on fear, not loyalty. I hope he's right. Fear's a flimsy shield when the law comes knocking. Meanwhile, Jake's not sitting still. I hear from an old high school buddy, Nick, who runs a bar in town. Your brother's been around, Nick says. Flashing cash, talking up some big land deal. Says the cabin's his ticket to the high life. I grit my teeth. He mentioned me? Nick snorts. Yeah, called you a leech, said you're jealous. Sara was with him, quiet, but nodding along. That stings. Sarah's not just in on it. She's selling his story. I think Nick, hang up, and punch the armrest. They're rewriting history, painting me as the bad guy. The night before the court date, I drive out to the cabin. Haven't been there since this mess started. Needed to see it, feel it. The lake's still, moonlight bouncing off the water. Inside, it's musty, quiet. I run my hand over the worn kitchen table. Think of Dad carving our initials into it one summer. J plus M, equal. Jake's erased that, but I won't let him erase me. I sit on the dock till dawn, letting the anger settle into something colder, sharper. Resolve. Court day hits like a storm. I'm in a borrowed suit from Pete, standing outside the courthouse with Tom. He claps my shoulder. We've got this. Evidence is tight. Deed's fishy. Hospital backs us. Carlos tapes a dagger. Just stay calm up there. I nod, but my stomach's churning. Jake rolls up in a shiny SUV, Sara at his side. Both in slick outfits like they're auditioning for some rich kid drama. He smirks at me. She doesn't look over. Inside, the courtroom's small, wood-paneled, packed with tension. The judge is a no-nonsense guy, bald, stern. Jake's lawyer, a slick city type with a Rolex, starts strong, claiming the deed's legit. Dad favored Jake. I'm just bitter. Sara takes the stand, voice shaky but rehearsed. Matt never cared about the cabin. She lies. Jake's the one who kept it going. I want to yell, but Tom grips my arm. Our turn, he whispers. He tears into her, shows joint bank records, my trips to fix the roof, texts where she begged me to take her there. Her story crumbles. She stammers, eyes darting to Jake. Then Tom drops the bomb. Hospital logs, nurse testimony, Carla's recording. Jake's lawyer objects, calls it circumstantial, but the judge shuts him down. I'll hear it, he says. Carla's voice fills the room, shaky. Jake paid me. Said no one no. Jake's face goes white. The judge leans forward, eyes narrow. Mr. Lawson, he says to Jake, you've got some explaining to do. The courtroom's dead silent after Carla's tape plays. Jake's lawyer's scrambling, flipping through papers like he can magic up a defense, but the damage is done. The judge adjusts his glasses, stares Jake down. You care to explain why a notary says you paid her to forge your father's signature? Jake's cool mask cracks. He stutters. She's lying, Your Honor. I don't know her. It's weak, desperate. Even Sara shifts in her seat, eyes on the floor. Tom's on his feet, calm but lethal. We've got hospital records proving Mr. Lawson Sr. was incapacitated. Nurse testimony. And this, he holds up the deed, filed when he couldn't sign his name, let alone a legal document. My client's been robbed of his inheritance by fraud. Jake's lawyer tries to spin it, claims Dad told Jake to take the cabin verbally, but the judge cuts him off. I deal in evidence, not bedtime stories. Sit down. I'm up next. I keep it simple, voice steady. That cabin's been mine and Jake's since we were kids. Dad wanted us both to have it, said it over and over. I fixed it, loved it, lived it. Jake saw dollar signs and sold me out. Sara too. I glance at her. She won't meet my eyes. The judge nods, scribbles something. Jake takes the stand after. All charm and bullshit. Matt's exaggerating. Dad trusted me to handle things. I'm selling it for us, for the family. The judge raises an eyebrow. Family doesn't forge deeds, son. Closing arguments are quick. Tom hammers the fraud angle. Jake's lawyer pleads good intentions. The judge doesn't drag it out. I've heard enough, he says, voice like gravel. The deed transfer's invalid. Signatures a fake, corroborated by medical records and Ms. Vance's statement. Cabin reverts to joint ownership, as per the original will. Mr. Lawson, he glares at Jake. You're lucky this isn't a criminal proceeding. Yet. He bangs the gavel. Done. Jake's out of his chair, face red, yelling about appeals. Sara grabs his arm, whispering something, but he shakes her off. I just sit there, letting it sink in. I won. The cabin's mine. Ours, technically, but Jake's got no leverage now. Tom claps my back. Told you he had it. I nod, but it's hollow. Victory's sweet, but the cost? My brother's a stranger, Sara's gone, Dad's memory tangled in this mess. Outside, Jake storms up to me, Sara trailing. You think this is over? I'll fight this, courts, developers, whatever it takes. I step close, voice low. You fight, you'll lose more than a cabin. Fraud's on paper now. Push me, and I'll push back harder. He blinks, steps back. Sara finally speaks, voice small. Matt, I'm sorry. I didn't. I cut her off. Save it. You picked your side. I walk away, past Pete waiting by his truck, grinning. Beers on me, he calls. I head to the cabin that night, alone. The lake's quiet, air crisp. I light a fire, sit with Dad's old fishing rod, and let the weight lift. Jake might appeal, might slink off with his tail between his legs. Don't care. Sara's a ghost now, her betrayal fading with every crackle of the logs. The cabin's mine, not because of some judge, but because I fought for it. Dad's voice echoes in my head. You've got heart. Yeah, I do. And it's still beating.